Good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes for stragglers, and we'll get started any minute. Welcome. All right, it's about 10:02. We might as well get started and get the recording going. We'll go through our introductions and stuff as people are straggling in. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning. My name is Chad Harris. I'm an instructional designer here in the ATS department. I'm joined by Angel Pabliko Kobayashi and Sabrina Dean. They're also going to be assisting, answering questions in the chat if you have any, and assisting with any other questions that you might have. Today, we're going to learn about Canvas layouts we created to help our faculty build up their course build. So this is really kind of an info session, although you are welcome to follow along and log into Canvas, and I'll show you in a second where you can find the layouts. Just a couple of business slides that you're probably used to by now. This is kind of our intro slide. We're going to, before we get started, we're going to review some general housekeeping during the live presentation. If you have questions, please type them into the chat. And Sabrina and Angel will do their best to answer those questions. If you don't get your question answered, we should have plenty of time at the end for any kind of Q&A, all right? Also, remember to complete our evaluation at the end, and we welcome any input that you have, okay? First of all, the next thing we want to do is we want to do a brief 1, 2, 3, go activity. If you haven't done these before, basically I'm going to ask you a question. You type it into the chat, but don't hit send until I say 1, 2, 3, go. Okay? And we just want to get a little bit of feedback about your familiarity with Canvas. So again, type your answer in the chat, but wait until I say 1, 2, 3, go before you actually send your answer. So here's the question. In your experience building online courses, if applicable, if you've done that yet, how many hours do you typically spend building a course? How many hours do you spend? I'll wait a couple of seconds. You think about your answer. And then 1, 2, 3, go. Send your answer. "16 hours, 40 plus hours, wow. 8 hours? 20 hours? 40 hours? Yeah. So the idea here, I think, is that it can be fairly time consuming to build courses online. And we here in ATS have, developed some resources to speed up that process a little bit. And Canvas layouts are designed for speeding up that process by providing you with some pre-built content. If you're building from scratch, this can be very useful for you. I'm going to ask, let's see, I'm going to ask one more question here. So again, when I say 1, 2, 3, go, send your answer to the following question. Have you ever used Canvas Commons layouts in your course build? Are any of you familiar with our layouts? 1, 2, 3, go. Sabrina, of course, is quite familiar. Okay, good. All right, so this workshop should be fairly useful for you all. All right. So just a word on some of the objectives for today. Our objectives in today's workshop are clear and precise, much like the Canvas layouts we will soon acquaint you with. Today's objectives are as follows. Canvas Commons, we're going to look at Canvas Commons versus layouts, or actually the layouts are within the Commons. So we'll show you a little bit of how to navigate around there. We'll differentiate between the different layout options that we have for you. You can practice uploading a layout to your Canvas course. We'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to modify the layouts. And then we hope after today's workshop, you give ATS Canvas layouts a try when you're building your courses. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually show you the Canvas Commons. And I'm going to get out of my presentation just for a sec and show you, once you land in Canvas, and if you haven't been to Canvas before, you go through your SSO login, and there's a Canvas button right here. When you first log in to CSULB, as soon as you click that button, you'll go directly to your account, and this would, in the landing page, will look just like this. You don't have to go actually into a course to access the Commons. The Commons are right here on the left, in this button in our global menu. Near the bottom, you just click Commons. Might take a second to load. And the Commons look something roughly like this. So you feel free to follow along with me if you're logged in to Canvas. Okay. And feel free to ask questions as I go along by putting them in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to get back to my presentation. Any questions so far about anybody having issues logging in or anything? Okay. So the Commons is really a learning object repository that supplies pre-built courses, modules, assessments, and much more. If you notice, if you're in the Canvas Commons, you'll notice that there's all kinds of shared content, mostly from other users of Canvas. You can find, import, and share resources in the Canvas Commons. It's a free service that aids in expediting your understanding of Canvas while also speeding up your online course build. It is important that we understand, today's workshop is about Canvas layouts, but in order to understand the layouts, we must know how to navigate the Commons. So I already showed you that, okay? Canvas Commons is simply a library of repository of resources. So the Commons is where the layouts sit, essentially, okay? Okay. So again, this is, I've already kind of showed you this, where this slide sort of shows you how to get into the Commons. So I can kind of skip this. I already showed you that. So next we're going to talk about features and functionality. There are 4 types of Canvas layouts brought to you by ATS. The first layout is what we call the advanced layout. This layout offers a unique enhanced design that makes it stand out from the rest, while also including a refined 1-week module placeholder. And if you're wondering, we will discuss how to include more modules later in the workshop. Next, we have the foundational layout. This layout does away with the enhanced design and sticks to the basics. The advanced layout has a lot more HTML design on the pages, whereas the foundational one keeps it a little bit more basic. You'll find customized welcome, robust course components, and in the foundational layout, we have actually 16 weeks built out of module structure for you. There's also what we call the quick start layout, which you can probably see if you're logged in. This layout is intended to give you full creative power to execute your course build vision, while still providing essential course components, accompanied by 3 weeks of module placeholders. Lastly, we have added a home pages layout because we've received lots of requests in the past to only import home pages. Since it's not possible to pick and choose the content to import from a layout, this home pages version has been made available instead. So it just has home pages in it rather than all the other elements to build out your course. It contains 3 homepage options and does not contain any module content. So you really just, from the home pages, you're importing a few different pages that you can choose from. So adding some more context to the look and feel of each of these layouts, we'll spend a moment exploring the first 3 layouts. This will be a high-end overview, though I highly encourage you to explore these layouts on your own. We'll be focusing on the navigational hierarchy, the content placeholders supplied in each module, and the visual design elements. So beginning with the advanced layout, this is what the module page looks like. There are 6 modules provided in the advanced layout. The first module is the administrator module. Now this is more for our reference, so you can feel free to delete this. And of course, you can delete any of these as you wish. We next have the instructor module. The instructor module provides resources necessary to be proficient in the Canvas layout. This module serves as a helpful guide when first navigating through the layout. Again, you can always keep this invisible to students or delete at will. The getting started is where students are directed when they first are introduced to your course. This could be very useful, having a fully built out getting started module. All right, this helpful resource provides a course overview, information about the instructor, class resources, required textbooks, netiquette, facts, a student lounge, which is a discussion board, and a place to ask the instructor questions as well. So those familiar with Quality Matters will note that this covers a lot of specific standards in the standard 1 of the Quality Matters rubric as well. Provides you kind of ready built content for that review if you're familiar with that. Resources and support offer student support services information and links to useful online resources for their convenience. Everything from technical support, Canvas support, accessibility and student support, cultural resources, institutional policies, and the lockdown browser software support guide. This also covers a lot of what the QM rubric asks you to provide in courses, mainly in standard 8 with all the accessibility and technology requirements and so on. So again, lots of ready built content for you in case you're going to be doing a QM review. And now we enter the first weekly module of your course. This module is packed with the necessary items to structure your course. Please keep in mind later in the workshop, we'll share some pointers on how to customize that module content, but we provide you kind of an ideal way to structure a module for students. The weekly module contains the following: week 1 overview and objectives, a to-do list, supplemental resources, a week 1 lecture if you use that, week 1 readings, and a week 1 review and weekly assignments. The weekly assignments contain individual group assignments, a review, a knowledge check if you need to use those. And then finally, in this advanced layout, we recommend utilizing the course conclusion module. Consider this module your opportunities to summarize outcomes, credentials, and perhaps even a survey of students. Again, these are all suggested resources and you can use them or delete them at will. Now here's an example of what the layout looks like in the advanced design course layout. The design elements, as noted before, having been designed by graphic design specialists. Remember, this is the advanced layout. The foundational layout doesn't have all of these design elements. So what we have here is the multicolor scheme. It invites students to a clear visual separation of content and hierarchy. Additionally, icons have been included to further convey a clear distinction of content throughout the course. Again, this is based on kind of best practices of building courses online. Another excellent feature about the advanced layout is that it includes 3 home pages, and you can use any one of these that you want. Take a moment to look over the various home pages if you go in there. These are a great way to give a professional look to your course. We've pre-designed these for you. Here's another close look at one of those. So it has, we've designed buttons on them that link to the various areas of the course and just kind of structures it visually. Okay, so now I'm going to another layout. This is the foundational layout. The foundational layout provides much of the same content as previously displayed in the advanced layout, although this layout does away with all the enhanced design of color and icons. It's a little bit similar or simpler. So just going through some of these elements, it's important to note the modules found within the highlight box here have been condensed in the advanced layout under the module titled Getting Started. Right, so the explanation of those items found within the foundational layout is that's a subtle difference between foundational and the advanced layout. We condense all these items. And then we have an entire 16 weeks built out. Right, they're essentially placeholders for your content. In the other layouts, you'll have to duplicate the weekly module if you would like to continue to use it. It's very easy to duplicate in modules. We'll show you that in a few minutes. Here's an example of what one of those pages looks like. So you can see the abstraction of color and icons makes this course very distinct from the advanced layout. Some may prefer to keep it simple, or perhaps others may want to try their hand in personalizing their course with color and icons of their own. If you're comfortable with using HTML, you can, design this at your will. As we proceed to the quick start layout, well, you'll notice the content has been heavily condensed. So this is the quick start one, much more condensed for you. So the student getting started module and 3 weekly modules placeholders are really the only modules in this quick start. So choosing what content to include next is really up to you. That's more of a blank slate with quick start. Okay, so next we're going to look at how you can import these into your own course. All right, so you would do this by entering the course that you want to copy these to. All right, and then we'll show you from there. Okay, first you'll want to enter the commons and select your desired layout. The layout will open up, showcasing a preview of the layout and specific details, both of which have been reviewed in today's workshop. On the right-hand side of the page, the Import Downloads button is present. Selecting this button will pop open a Courses window. Right on the side is kind of a pop-up window that'll pop in. It's a great place to preview the layout content prior to importing it into your desired course. So here's what happens when you hit that blue import button. This window will look like the example from the slide. You can select from the courses you are an instructor in by checking the select box to the right of a course. So what you'll see in there is unique to your own enrollments and your own assignments. So you'll see all the courses you're assigned to teach, right? In this screenshot, I've done a search for the sandboxes that I am an instructor in, and other instructors. So I just did a search for sandbox, as you can see. By default, you will see all courses you were enrolled in as an instructor. The search box is a great way to narrow down the course or courses you'd like to import the layout to. So for some of you, this list might be a little long. And then once you have verified the correct course to receive the Canvas layout, you then select Import into Course. Your course will assume the new course layout identity within a few minutes. Usually only takes a few seconds. Okay. All right, so let's see. Next, we're going to show you how to modify your content. In layout modification, we will look at how to remove Canvas layout items that are not required for your course, and how to reorder content hierarchy, and ways to adjust how the content is displayed to your students. This is what a typical module page will look like when you click into one of the weekly topics. Removing an item from the Canvas layout helps to slim down a course from unwanted placeholders. In this particular example, we are removing the supplemental resources from week 1. Select the option icon, the 3 vertical dots, or sometimes we call this a kebab button, on the right side of the content placeholder. Once you hit that little kebab button, a drop-down menu appears, allowing you to select the Remove option. Keep in mind, selecting Remove option will not permanently delete the content from your course. Right? This ensures that you can retrieve the placeholder later if you want to. It just removes it from the module page. Another useful option when customizing your course layout content is the reorder function. It's really a drag and drop function. You select the drag handle on the left-hand side of the content placeholder, and you can simply drag the content up and down and between modules if you want. Right? This slide just shows you how you can drag up and down. It's pretty simple. Now, if you were teaching online in Beachboard, some of you used sub-modules. So Beachboard has this kind of nested sub-module folder structure in it. And what that looks, it looks a little bit different in Canvas. So we don't have folders in Canvas, but the way we do nested structure is simply by indenting. Right? So we can achieve a similar visual result by using the indent function in Canvas. As you have noticed, there is a slight indent apparent in this list of content. The week 1 module overview, to-do list, and supplemental resources have all been indented to signify a subdivision beneath the weekly overview header. To alter this indent, select the options menu on the right-hand side, and a pop-up window will appear, offering you an option to increase the indent. And it's important to note, you can decrease the indent here as well. Now, we also have text headers. So text header offers just one more way to create a distinction between content. The text is a title that spaces content, serving as a grouping mechanism. Again, you did this in Beachboard using folders, but using these text headers can accomplish roughly the same results. So in this example, the arrow is pointing at the weekly overview, which this is actually a text header. You'll notice the text header doesn't have any icon beside it to designate it as a content item. You can include additional text headers by locating the plus icon on the top right of the module title. And the module title is the gray bar at the top of the module, and you'll see the plus sign on the far right. By clicking that, you'll get this drop-down menu, okay, which by default will display assignments. It defaults to assignments, but you can choose any one of these. You can click on the assignment drop-down and select text header from the menu options. Once text header is selected, you enter the header name. For example, week 1 assignments, leave the indentation as don't indent, and select add item in the lower right corner. So you can indent from here as well. Last on our agenda for today's workshop, and we're making some pretty good time here, is adding new content. Right? Although the Canvas layouts provided crucial components to making an effective online course, it can account for all the unique alterations each of you may need to make to your course. So of course, these are all very customizable for your own content. So there are two items we'll review: duplicating a content placeholder and creating one new from scratch. So you have the option to duplicate a module and all the content found within, or a particular item found within a module, such as a module overview, an assignment, or an activity, to name a few options. Once the options menu is selected, a list of options will appear and will allow you to then select duplicate. Canvas will mimic the content and will present you with a clone with copy in the title. So you can feel free to edit that title. You can also drag and drop these content items wherever you want. When you add a new content item, it tends to default to the bottom of the module, so you may have to adjust it. When creating a placeholder from scratch, we begin with modules. So you see the add module button right here. Selecting the module will pop a window open that allows you to name the new module before adding it to your course. You also have the option to create an assignment, quiz, file, page, discussion, and much more from scratch, okay, by simply using that plus button on the right side of the module title. And that's pretty much all we have in terms of the functionality and how to add the content and adjust it. All right, so we're almost done here, but just a couple of things to consider, all right, in terms of the ideal ways of setting these courses up. Prior to importing a layout into your course, there are a few things you want to consider. First of all, the import will not merge into your course, right? It doesn't do a complicated merge. It just adds things to the course, right? So if you already have content and materials built into your course, they'll remain as they are. They won't get erased over or anything. Okay? The import will simply be in addition to what you may already have. So it'll basically add everything starting from the bottom of your module page if you already have modules in there. So nothing gets deleted or written over. Okay, so if you have not seen what the layout looks like post-import, because sometimes it's harder to see when you're just in the layout itself, we highly suggest that you import the course into a sandbox or development shell prior to importing it into a live course. When an import occurs, it takes many files with it, that you may want to view and decipher if this is what you're looking for, right? That's basically it. We've, covered sort of a comprehensive way of using your layouts. So right now we can just open it up. If you have any questions that did not get answered in the chat, go ahead and raise your hand now and we can answer your questions or show you anything that you want to see. Any questions from anyone?
Yes, hi, Chad. I have a question for you.
Sure.
If you go back to your module that you had, weekly module, and you had 3 items indented to the right.
Yeah, let me go back. Hold on. That was this one?
Yeah, is there any way to collapse the 3 indented to the right under the weekly overview?
You can't collapse you can't collapse the actual individual items. You can collapse everything on the module by clicking the button on the left. And it might be easier if I go into a course to show you. So let me show you how you can collapse your modules. But you can't collapse just those 3 items under weekly overview. You can definitely collapse everything within the module. And I'll show you what that looks like. Let me go into my dashboard really quick, or my sandbox course. So here are the modules in my sandbox. Right here, you have a button to collapse all, right? If I hit that button, all the modules collapse like that. Okay, and I can expand all from there. But what you're asking, I think, is, if I increase the indent of this item, can I collapse it under this item? And no, that's not.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Right. That would be useful. Yeah. But yeah, that collapse, and then you can collapse an individual module by hitting this little button right here on the left. But yeah, that's about as granular as the collapse gets.
Also, my question is that can you hide something from the student view?
Yes, you can.
Like any one of these. How do you hide it?
This button right here is your publish button. Also, you see all these green buttons?
Yes.
Some of these are grayed out because this is an assignment that students have submitted already, so it won't allow you to hide it once students have submitted something. But for any other item, you just click it and it unpublishes it, therefore, and it won't show on the student side.
Okay.
And you can you have one at the top of the module at the title level. You can click that and it gives you a drop down whether you want to publish the entire module, and it gives you these options right here. So that publish makes it invisible to the student, or unpublished makes it invisible to the student.
Right, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or anything that I can show anyone?
I have a question on the announcements on sort of like news items. Like in Beachboard, when we posted a news item, we could time the release of it. And, like say I wanted to set everything up, but I, don't need it to them to see it for like week 3 or week 4. And then I could hide items and save the, is there that option with the announcements?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so I'll just, if I click right into announcements here, I'm not sure if I have any in this course. So let me just go ahead and create an announcement. So if I create an announcement here, you title it, I put, the content of the announcement here, and then down here under options, you have delay posting. This little checkbox right here, and then you can set the date that you want it to post. You also have some other options here. These default to off, but if you want to have students be able to comment on the announcement, you have that option as well.
And then once the date passes, does it just go blank for or there's no like expiration date like that it will go blank? It's just just when it goes live, you can schedule it, you can't.
Yeah, and then you can, I think you have to, you mainly have to come back and undo it. The announcement function gives students kind of their own power to, hide announcements if they want to. So they can do that on their side. But it's not the same as the news function in Beachboard where you can set open and close dates, but it just basically has a posting date.
So
And
is
then
there,
it goes to the student side, and then the students have the option of whether they want to delete it or save it or
yeah,
whatever.
so once I delete it, it's gone. Like say I don't want them to see it anymore.
Then you can just delete it, yeah.
Delete it. Is there a better way or a better option to use than announcements if I have postings that I want to have control over, them being seen and not seen, but not having them deleted?
Announcements is the main kind of tool for that. You can also use your inbox, which is kind of the built-in email function as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if you use the inbox, kind of works similar to announcements in that it does give them it goes directly to their CSULB email and gives them a notification to go in and check their inbox. So it's all very secure kind of within Canvas, but they do get notifications in their email. And so that's what that looks like. You can see. And then if I go to create a new email, I can select the course that I want, and I can select the course and all the students within the course. So if I select, let's see, let me select my I have a bunch here. Sorry, because there's my sandbox. So I click sandbox. And then I have these options to email all students, or if I click the students here, I can pick which students to send to. The drawback with using the inbox as compared to using announcements is that unfortunately there's an ability to format that you don't have the nice HTML formatting box. So some instructors find that a little bit of an issue. But now, if you create an announcement, you can edit it and add images and format the text and so on.
Okay.
But those are the two main ways of communicating with students within Canvas.
Okay, and just a quick question since you have this up, and then I'll stop. On the inbox feature with the students, can you set up groups within your class? So say they're doing a group project where I could email certain groups.
Sure. Yeah. So if I go into a course, sometimes dashboard takes a minute to load when I'm screen sharing, so bear with me. There we go. So you set up groups by going to the people section. People is basically your roster, your class roster. So if I click on people, you create groups by, first of all, creating a group set. So you do that by adding a group set. So you can have different groups for different purposes by adding more group sets. But I've already created one test set here. And then here's where I create my groups. And then you have the option of automatically enrolling all students. You can set how large the groups are, or you can have students manually sign up to groups by choice. But this is where you do the groups. And then when you create an assignment, like any graded assignment, like a quiz or discussion or an uploaded assignment, you can choose that to be a group assignment and assign it to any one of these groups that you want. So that's where the group set function is.
And can you repeat that last part about the assignment? You said you can attach an assignment when you build your assignment.
When you go into create an assignment, and you'll see an option to make it a group assignment, and that's where you can assign it to any group that you want. And then groups have their own email inbox. You can set it up so that they have their own discussions, their own discussion space. And so you can then email students individually or by group.
And do you have to first set up the group in people first?
Yes,
Yeah, and then you can go and do the assignment. I see
exactly.
Sabrina just put it on week, okay.
So that's the workflow. You create the groups first, and then you create the assignments for those groups.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.